This week on Commercial Real Estate Secrets, we're talking Beverly Hills real estate, the jump from residential to commercial real estate, and the lending environment in 2024. We'll see you inside. This week's listener of the week is Mike Warner. Mike, thank you so much for leaving us a 5-star review. And for those of you listening, if you leave us a 5-star review below, you might be next week's listener of the week. This week on Commercial Real Estate Secrets, we have Kamyar Rezaie. Kamyar is the president of Wembley Real Estate. Kamyar, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Coming out of Calabasas, California, Kamyar, can you tell the people who you are, what you do, and how we got here today?
Sure. So I'm a commercial real estate broker. I focus on commercial real estate loans and helping buyers find properties. I started as a broker in 2004. Originally, I started in the residential arena during the loan modification era, about 2009-10. Started switching to the commercial, focus, and throughout the 10 to up to today, I've been building up my client base and helping mainly clients get a lot of different kind of financing based on the properties that they're commercial properties that they're buying, and I'm continuing to do so.
Tell me about financing in 2024.
So financing in 2024 mainly consists of owner-user properties. It's not much, investment and or any other type. It's mainly owner-user buildings and or people who have 1031 exchanges that need to, find another property to replace to defer their taxes.
If the listener was a fifth grader, can you explain why to a fifth grader that we are in an environment right now that you're only seeing owner user or 1031 deals get funded?
Well, one of the reasons is there is not that many properties on the market because of when during COVID, when the rates were low, people got very low rates. So there's not that much inventory. And number two, it's because the rates are high. The cap rates don't make are rather high, and people are just it doesn't pencil. And if in certain circumstances on an investment property, even if you put up to 40% down, your cash flow can be negative on a monthly basis.
Crazy. So for the listeners, there's something we call, essentially there's an inverse effect to interest rates and cap rates. When interest rates go up, cap rates come down. When interest rates go down, cap rates go up. I assume you're seeing that in the Los Angeles market. Whereabouts, Los Angeles, Calabasas, you're talking about a big piece of ground. Whereabouts do you transact mostly?
I transact here in Calabasas area and in the west side area mainly.
Okay. West side being
Brentwood, Beverly Hills, West Los Angeles, in that arena.
Okay. Is that a high competition area?
Very high competition.
So how do you beat the competition?
It's honestly, majority of my clients are referral based, and in order to really grab the competition, it's based on customer service, being there for them at all times.
So you own Wembley, so you obviously have a grasp on that, being there for your clients and maximizing their experience. What does a full service brokerage mean to you and look like to you all over at Wembley?
It means when you are, introduced to a new client, make sure you're available for them on a phone call. It doesn't matter if it's a weekend or a weeknight. Make sure you respond to emails. Typically it's within 24 hours. I like to get back to emails within 3 to 6 hours. And, be able to, answer all questions, even if they're not looking to purchase or do any transaction for the next 3 to 6 months, but being there for them, answering all their questions. So when they are ready, they know who to come back to.
Absolutely. I think it's really interesting. I find, I own a boutique brokerage as well, and I find so many of my clients have dealt with what I call the big box brokerages, and they have just felt like a cow in a slaughterhouse. and they want to find this more boutique, hands-on experience, which we at the Warehouse Hotline prioritize. And I've never worked in a big shop. I call them big box
Mhm.
brokerages, but I really enjoy that concierge experience on the brokerage end, uh, helping our clients from day one, far past when the building is sold or the lease is signed. I'm going to give you all my contacts. I'll, uh, meet you on, if you're out of state, go take pictures of the site, play property manager. It's fun. I find the more you give, the more you get as a broker. And I think in the boutique firms, we're able to really cater to that experience.
Right.
So, is there a product type you all deal with more?
We mainly deal with, the owner user, let's say the office building, the smaller ones, retail, multifamily, industrial.
Okay.
I would say those are for the top four that we deal with.
What are you seeing for the office environment in your
The big office
district?
environment, it's hurting a lot. But the owner user office environment is rather hot because people can buy and they can take advantage of depreciation and owning their own building.
I just read an article of a group here in Denver. A building sold, I want to say 10 years ago for 40 million, and a group just bought it here for 9 million.
Right.
And it's a really interesting opportunity. I think there's an element of risk, but risk and reward, and great real estate is great real estate, specifically if you got cash. So, um, what are you finding with the industrial?
Industrial, on the smaller scale, smaller buildings, again, those are a lot of the owner users. So again, those are very hot. People want to move into them. But the bigger spaces, larger square footages, it depends on the area and the demand. But
Sure.
majority are, I would say, occupied today. You do not find a lot of the industrial, even on the bigger scale, empty, vacant.
Yeah. Story of my life. So, do you all work with a lot of buyers over at Wembley?
Yes, we do. We mainly deal with the buyers that, if they want us to, accommodate them with the buy side on the brokerage along with the loans. But we majority do a lot of the loans.
Okay, so you are a brokerage, but you also have a lending arm within your
Correct. As
brokerage.
part of my brokerage. Exactly.
Oh, fascinating.
Yes.
So it's really in-house full service brokerage.
Yep. That's where the concierge comes in. We're able to, handle both aspects. It kind of makes it easier for the client. They're not dealing with two different people.
Sure. Are you seeing SBA loans getting through the finish line?
A lot of them. Majority of the owner user buildings are SBA loans because of the 10% down requirement.
Okay, so this is like a broker to broker question. So we're seeing SBAs go through the finish line because I've heard horror stories recently where people will get under contract, do their due diligence, and then the lender is pulling the plug at the finish line because of financing. Are you seeing any of that, or is it
I have not
more?
seen that, but what I do recommend for clients is before you even go into contract, let's look at your documents and your financials, give it to a lender, and make sure they're good with it. Kind of a prequel. Trying to do that while going to escrow it can be dangerous, like you said, because now you're putting your 3% into escrow, and if you sign off all your contingencies, you're at risk of losing that.
Sure. So let me ask you, how do you find your clients? How do you build your clientele? It's a really competitive market. What are you doing aside from having the lending arm that differentiates yourself?
So a majority of my clients are referrals. It's based on past clients, but I also deal with a lot of COIs in terms of CPAs, attorneys, and business managers.
Oh, that's cool.
Right.
Um, who do you find to be the most valuable of that group?
CPAs.
CPAs?
Right. Because they're the ones that are dealing with the tax returns, and they see like when they have clients that are, leasing for their businesses, and they can see how advantageous it would be if that particular client buys a building.
And why is that?
Because, they get depreciation expense. And if they get an SBA loan that's over 25 years and they're open for that long, they can pay off the building and own it outright.
There's just nothing better than a building owned outright.
Best feeling.
So tell me, you started in residential real estate.
Correct.
When was that?
That was in 2004.
Okay. So you cut your teeth in residential and then you switched in the craziest time in real estate, 2008 or 2009?
Around 2009, 2010, a year after the economic apocalypse.
So what was your aha moment to go from residential to commercial?
Is dealing with, a higher echelon clients that I helped some save their homes via loan mods and everything. And they were owners of a commercial properties. And they're like, if you jump into the commercial space, we'll become your client. And it will be the start for you to enter that sector.
Was it a hard transition from residential to commercial?
I wouldn't say that hard. It was just customizing yourself with the verbiage, with the loan docs, and with what the banks require.
Sure. I heard someone say recently in commercial real estate, you learn 80% of the business in your first year and then 20% the rest of your life.
The next 30 years.
Yeah. Which is cool and humbling and exciting all at the same time.
Definitely. No, it's very fun. It's very, when you have a client that owns, you buy them a building and they're there a couple of years and then they call you, they thank you, their business has grown and, it's a very good feeling.
So we own, lease, and manage a number of warehouses here in town. Mm-hmm. One time we turned a gentleman down. He wanted to open an auto body shop. Auto body can be kind of rough. Sure. He was just starting out. He went and bought a building instead of renting from us. And because we declined him. Mm-hmm. It just so happened he bought a building in what would become a huge epicenter location that was underdeveloped when he bought it and has exploded since. And I see him because we work in the area and we keep in touch. And he always says, it's because you guys turned me down that I bought this building and look where I am today. And it's the power of patience in commercial real estate it's powerful and it's impressive and it's fun to have those relationships. And although it was awkward in the beginning, it's just smiles for miles now.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did 2008 play into your transition, if anything?
2008 was a very interesting year. At the point I was in the residential, I would say 75-80% almost of the competition went out. People didn't know what to do. The banks didn't have money necessarily. People didn't have money. And It was just very scary times. And, the only way to make money was if you had certain clients that, weren't affected much, they still had the tax returns and so forth to be able to refinance and or buy property. One. Number two was, with all the loan modifications, helping people save their homes and having a roof over their head.
Whew.
And so, it was, that was just survival. It was just survival. And, luckily I was able to, help a lot of people save their homes. And then I got, introduced to a certain amount of clients in the West Side that had the higher loan amounts, $4, $5, $6 million loan amounts, bigger homes. They had the same issues. But again, at that time, those were not conventional, the regular loans. They were the jumbo loans.
Sure.
But, the banks were kind of mandated, no matter the loan amount, to help people save their homes because of the balance sheets and the laws and regulations that were going on at that time. And when I helped them, they were all very happy. They're like, you saved our family's home, you saved the roof over our head, and, how can we repay you? And that's where, they told me, go into the commercial space, we'll be there for you.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah.
So having been in the commercial space for a long time, a lot has changed in terms
Yeah.
of technology.
Yes.
What are you seeing being the primary changes in commercial real estate from when you started, and how are they helping you today?
The primary changes is mainly, the web. Everybody can go on the LoopNet. They can see what are the properties for sale. They can do all their research. They have all that at their disposal. Versus, in the beginning, 2000, let's say 9, 10, when I got into it, it was just you. What they found that address, they called you, or you sent them address. You had to provide everything to them. You know,
Yeah.
but now clients have a lot of different resources at their disposal,
Hmm.
which helps. And nowadays, I'm a part of CoStar. So for any property, a majority of the properties, I would say you can do underwriting reports, which is like a 130-page report, which the banks use as part of their underwriting as well. And you
That's
can provide,
scary.
yeah, you can provide this to the client and they can get all the information they want prior to submitting an offer.
Wow. I said that's scary because sometimes I know the information given to CoStar is false. So if people are underwriting based on the, whoever is giving that information to CoStar,
Right.
is terrifying. But
Right.
I
Right. They
digress.
try to keep it as up to par as possible.
They do try. They do a pretty good job,
Right.
and they are our industry leader, so
Yeah.
we don't have a
Absolutely.
choice.
Yeah. They also own LoopNet.
Right. Um, so, what makes you happy with what you do in commercial real estate?
What makes me happy with what I do is, as I mentioned previously, when I have the first time buyer buying a building where they're going to move their business into, a lot of the SBA loans that we do, when they do get the loan, we also get a construction aspect to it so that they can change the building into with the features and the, layout that they want. And so when they move into here, they feel good. And the majority of them, their businesses grow, their gross sales grow. So, having, those people, when they give you a call back and they thank you, and majority of my clients that I do the SBA loans for, I put them on 25-year fixes amortized over 25 years. SBAs are the only commercial loans that you can do a full fixed period for throughout the period, throughout the whole loan.
Wow.
So, especially during the COVID era when the rates were in the 2s and the 3s, they're never going to touch those loans. Those rates
Sure.
might never come back to us, So, and then people are just very happy, you know.
Amazing. Like I said, the more you give, the more you get.
Correct.
Kamyar, where can the listeners of Commercial Real Estate Secrets find you, follow you, and contact you?
Best is my either my website, www.wembleysinc.com, WEMBLEYSINC.com, or my office phone number, 818-703-9337. And if they go on my website, all my social platforms are there.
Booyah. Thank you for being on the show today, and for
Thank you for
everybody
having me.
listening. Yeah, for everybody listening, we'll see you next week. Thank you for tuning in to Commercial Real Estate Secrets. If you have found our podcast to be valuable, please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite streaming platforms, and make sure to follow us on social media at Aviva Real Estate. For brokerage services or to get in touch with us, head over to thewarehousehotline.com and submit a contact form. My name is Aviva. This is Commercial Real Estate Secrets. We'll see you next week.